Yeah, yeah. One important, how would you call it? It's not quite a concept. Um, when a person walks out of the typical world that they have been living, business and work and school and business and work and home and school and business, work, home and school and business, work, home and school and business, work, home and school and all that, and over and over and over. And it's over and over. Business, work, home, school, maybe a holiday here, business, work, home, school, business, work, home, school, going out and parties and business, work, home, school, and over and over and over and over. And then they come across maybe a religion or some other form that is outside the realm of business, home, school, parties, drinking, running, jogging. Um, Everybody has a hard time fitting it into their business, home, school, home, relationships, whatever. And people don't think about it. They say, "Oh yeah, I hear it. Yeah, okay, yeah, I understand that. Okay, yeah, I got it. I understand that." And basically, you don't. Basically, you just don't. What creates a longevity of frustration after a number of years is that you don't realize it, that you don't have it literally realized inside. And throughout the 20 years, talked quite a bit about understanding something, intellectually understanding something, emotionally understanding something, subconsciously understanding something, and realizing it are really two different things. To realize something, no matter what age you are, no matter whether you are a professor, you live on the streets, you're a school teacher, you're a psychiatrist, you're a patient, you have Alzheimer's disease. It's almost impossible for any Westerner to realize anything. To understand that word actually takes a great number of years, realization. Takes a great number of years just to stay with that one word. And to break it down, literally to break it down. And what I find that people, and one of the great schools that I went to was to go through Buddhism, because they work with realism an awful lot, learning to realize something. And what was interesting, especially, they have a lot of short little prayers, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 little words in it. And here you have a short little prayer, almost like a mantra. And that little mantra, just a few words. My God, it takes months and years to understand that mantra, because you got to break each letter down. You got to break those words down. And it was astonishing to literally see that. So it's very much like, here you are, you have this, you're reading this book and you're scanning it and, from sentence to sentence and sentence to sentence. And because you have such a natural gift now, so to speak, that you can read, and you can read pretty fast, and you can comprehend pretty fast, and you cross over this mantra. Okay, next. You lost. You literally have lost, because your intellectual mind thinks you understand it simply because you've read it. You have lost. Imagine getting out a microscope. It's a magic microscope, though. It's one of these real magic spiritual microscopes. It's one of these microscopes that an angel brought down and said, now go read this mantra with this very, very special microscope. It's got a really special lens and great light in it. So what you do, you get a little a scalpel, and you cut out these 3 or 4 words, and you stick it in under the microscope, and you're adjusting it and all, and you have focus on just the first word, and you turn the dial a little bit, and pretty soon you're sinking deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper down into that word, and you find worlds underneath that letter. Just worlds and worlds and worlds. Dimensions. So many dimensions in that letter underneath. And there you are, and you find yourself just taking off, just literally transporting yourself into other worlds. And there you are. And you say, oh, man, it's like, you pop some LSD but this is even better, much better. And so there you are, and you just find yourself in other dimensions. And that's how it really is. That's how it really, really, really is. And that is the simplicity of one candle flame. That is understanding speed and time of wheels turning. Within one block, can you imagine how many times that wheel turns over on these automobiles and trains? But we don't think of that because we understand everything with our intellectual, mental abilities that we learned sometime in school, and we're quite adept with it, and we just keep walking. But what is behind it? What's underneath? That is the magic. And so to literally be a professor of just one subject matter, no doubt you got to spend a good 20 years, 30 years before you have literally acquired some depth of that particular subject matter to put your credentials on the wall. And that's how it is. And there's no literally getting around it. But because we still have clever minds, we cheat like hell. We try to cheat. We try to cut the corners like hell. And we do. We cut the corners as fast as possible because we want it now. Literally want it now. Or yesterday. Be wise with your life. And let time be your friend. And let time be your pathway. Let time be your road. Be wise with your life. And don't put a date on the calendar. That is your enlightenment, or you have achieved. Be wise with it. It takes many, 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 many lives. So many. And you have already had so many. Millions. Every one of you has had millions of lives. $15 billion years in one lifetime? What? You've been fishers in the sea. You've been creatures of all sorts of faces. And you didn't even know the difference. And most human beings don't even know that they're human beings. They don't even know they're alive. They just walk and live. They're busy doing things. Time, let it walk with you. And don't try to outrun it. Let it walk with you. And then your pace starts to slow down. And then that very, very busy mind of yours, it will start to slow down. Because people, in essence, have you really finished school? No. Life from the moment you are conceived to the moment you pass away, it is a beautiful, beautiful schooling. And it continues and continues and on and on and on and on. And when illnesses crosses your path, you take it like an ice cream cone in the middle of summer. When an illness literally crosses your path, it is the element of time that will literally start to affect your life tremendously in that short period of your illness. And you let it do its job. You have to let it do its job. For this very, very good reason why it is there. An illness literally alters time inside of you. And when you stand there and sit there and lie there and you watch it, not to hate it, but to observe it. And deep down inside, you can almost even see it and sense it and feel it. Illnesses, some are so deadly, and some, they will literally change the element of time to the point that instead of spending 10 years on a subject matter, it can condense it to 2, maybe 1. But when a person, personally, they let fear take over when they have an illness, it changes the time and literally lengths. You could say a second, all of a sudden is a minute inside. And it will live a lot longer inside of you. Because you allowed it with fear to stretch. It is a schooling too with these illnesses. And to look in and watch. You got to close your eyes and look in and decide to go in and see who and what in the world is going on here. For the time that literally takes place is like the time that literally enhances itself while we are dreaming. Two different clocks. The time of the night and the time of what we call the waking state. But the time of the night is really where you will learn. It is a time of the night where you can find yourself traveling, understanding, dissecting, putting together so much of really of what in the world you are seeking. Everybody here is really after something very, very different. Completely different. Everybody here has very different agendas of what it is that something deep down inside so long ago, so long ago, that has literally led you here, led you into this life, led you into this country. And to go and literally dig down deep inside, to want to see it, to touch it, will literally change the time within you. Our culture, we get ricocheted. We're nothing but a bullet. We're nothing but an arrow traveling through time. And it isn't the walking. It's not getting on a plane or a boat. It has taken place inside of us. And we are the arrow taken off someplace. When you start to really think about it, 5 days after you pass away, just 5 days. And if you live to be the age of 88, all those 88 years will be so obvious to you. It will be so clear and obvious, this is nothing but a dream. And it is a beautiful dream, but it's nothing but a dream. And you will see and know, and your mind cannot help but be quiet and watch, for your mind will be the size of, let's say, a little stone. And all of a sudden you will find yourself so immense, so large, so gigantic, like a mountain. And it will be your heart that will be the size of the earth, and you will be in that heart. And you will see, my God, here's this little tiny mind. And here I let it guide me. I believed that that was me. And here, like the workings of this planet, with the various storms, heat and cold, rivers and winds, a continuous little globe way out in outer space. That was you inside. And the timelessness that you will see that was already there every day of every 88 years. So many days. 365 times 88. Let me see that. And how easily every day was marked off, thinking you're always going to have another day, another day. Why? Because look how many you've had. And that starts to literally touch your bones. It literally starts to touch every biological cell in you. Because you're finally paying attention to you. The personal self, you. The beautiful personal flake, snowflake, you. And when the biology inside, and whatever your dream is, why ever you came onto this planet, and whatever your agenda is for you to be here, and they're all different. All of us are so different. And why I love it so it is because I don't know what it is. And I'll never give it a name. But whatever put all these dimensions together, whatever gave us this century that we have, and it will go. Each of us, and even the fishes, and all the creatures too. And if we happen to find ourselves with the capacity of enough brain capacity to recognize not just our moments and not just 7 seconds into the future, but we can also recognize decades within us. That gift is a gift of free will. And this free will, like a dream, and when the sincerity is there, and there's a wish inside of you, it could be the age of 2, 32, and maybe even 49. Because it's literally very, very almost impossible to literally touch the act of free will inside of ourselves. But because we have lived so much, and because you are here, and the people out there too, we're no different than anybody on this planet. Somewhere along the line in their lives, you literally touch the act of free will within you. And that's when the arrow takes off. That is when the bullet leaves the barrel. And there's another phenomenon after that that's always occurring. It's another different time and space. And we have evidence here with this economy, this Western world. And this Western world becomes like a wall. And here we get born. And we're the arrow inside, deeply inside. And the wall of the economy, to profit, to gain, to take advantage of others, we hit these walls. We get misled. We find ourselves anorexic. The economy teaches us to paint what we are not, and to paint other people's faces what they are not. Us, the arrow, and the bullet gets deflected off these illusions. And we get way off track. And then that's what the Buddhists called karma. And then we accumulate little packets of dust. And then all the little actions that we have done, there are consequences. There's no doubt about that. When it comes down to physics, when it comes down to the subatomic world, when it comes to everything, even the sun, Everything in our universe is just cause and effect. There's no getting around it. Everything from the magnetism of plus and minus. And every cell is basically at the mercy of this. And then it's work, home, going out at night. Work, home, going out at night. And we can easily get deflected through that. And to touch, to literally touch whatever it is so long ago, that wish inside of you so long ago, that literally put you in this chair, put you in that office, put you in that particular flat, put you in that automobile. It put you there. Where am I going? Where am I going? What direction am I going? Are we on the right road? Where's my GPS? Where's my map? And that X, that destination, is in you. It is written not in your mind. Your mind knows nothing of it. It is in your heart. And there's this yearning for it, a beautiful yearning for this inside. All a human being needs is just one act of your free will, and your life will change forever. You need no more. And one act of free will you have all already had done a long time ago. And that's what brought you here. What is it that you want? And that is the person going out into the desert. That is the person traveling to India to find it. That is the person diving into volumes and volumes of books to dig it out. And all we need is for that angel to come down with that very, very spiritual microscope. And all you need to look is to see with one letter what is underneath it, the depth of it, the depth of it. As it is for a day, the depth of it. As it is for a moment, the depth of it. One word. If you Google it, the word love, my God, it's all over the planet. It's pasted all over this planet. And people just keep using it over and 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 over again. And it goes from decade to decade to decade to decade and century to century, and it's been written down. And you got to ask why. Because of that yearning inside. Can imagine how many kilometers you've already walked it out inside of you. Not the kilometers on the planet, but inside of you. Let time walk with you. You're not 49. You're not 16. You're not 32. Nah. Inside, very, very, very ancient inside. Very ancient inside. Inside, very ancient inside. You can't let our calendar, this calendar that we have here, deceive you. It's for business. No, it's for business. It's for the farmers. It's for certain seasons of foods. But inside you, ancient inside. And the time is different. The one candle flame. And that one flame and the light that it emanates, bouncing off your cheeks and the walls, curtains, a little chair and tables too. The windows are closed, the doors are closed. So steady, so steady. Do you think that flame has changed? Has it changed personality in the last 10,000 years? Has that flame changed personality in the last 10 million years? No. It's still the same inside. And that is in you. We get a little too dramatic with our age. I do too. But there isn't much we can do about that. But inside, we can. That we can. But it is only you that can knock on that door. It is only you that can decide to knock on that door. Psychologically, we can convince ourselves to join any particular party. Look what happened here in Germany, World War II. Look in America, Ku Klux Klan, or anything. We can talk ourselves into anything. We can rationalize anything and make ourselves correct and right. And that's why it's very important just to get really good facts. And not just of Germany. People above your head. There's a lot of time and space up there. And that's what put us together. I wouldn't say that we are people. I would just say we are just another species. That's it. That's simply it. And we're not any more important than the bears and the dogs and the fish. We're not. But we make ourselves so important. And that causes schizophrenia inside. It causes mental illness inside. The trees are just as important. And the clouds and the waters and the moon and the sun. Just as important. But we like to make ourselves so special. This is where we lose out. So when the psychological mind starts to relax with itself, and to use the beautiful mind of yours to re-educate it. Not what society teaches, because that's for gain. That's for gain and to consume. And it's beautiful. It works. It works pretty well. But it cannot teach you the Buddha line. It cannot teach you the Buddha line that has drawn the twigs, the trees, the clouds, the little streams, and the oceans. It has drawn the shape of your noses and foreheads, your shoulders too. You basically have to let yourself melt. That one snowflake on the tip of your finger, you have to let it melt inside of you and realize you're already that beautiful, beautiful snowflake, already drawn. A Buddha line you are. Nothing to do with enlightenment. But you can't comprehend it, you can't understand it. It won't do you any good. You'll just get more psychotic. Questions? Let's talk. Come on. Mm.
What you said about the free will and the I was wondering, I don't understand what you're saying, but can you make that act like corrupt? Can you corrupt
No.
the agenda?
No, you cannot corrupt your agenda. We get corrupted along the way. Yeah. Distractions. They're just distractions, actually. Yeah, they're just nothing but distractions. Yeah. Yeah. Our body has a propensity to get well. Our body has a propensity to get well. When a body is well, you don't feel anything. You don't feel anything. When the body is well, you don't feel nothing. You don't really sense anything inside. You just do. But you don't sense anything inside. When your body's not well, you sense, oh God, what, you start to sense because it's not well. These are like the distractions of the mind. Now, when the mind starts to dissolve itself, you could say, into the heart, doesn't even know. Into your heart. It doesn't even know. Yeah. But when you're, beating it up with your logic and, your reasoning and everything and trying to find an answer, you got a lot of thoughts. Then you get tied up with yourself. Yeah. Then you start to get clever. Then you start to have strategy. Then you got a lot of maps. You got a lot of maps, and and you forget what map you started off with. Yeah. It's I started to write, and I started to talk about, imagine you had this enthusiasm as a kid to be an astronaut, and to be an astronaut, you got to really do very well with math. You got to be, really good with math. So you're very good with math, and you get all the good grades and everything, and you send in your application, and NASA says, oh yes, oh great, you're healthy. You don't wear contact lenses, your eyes are 20/15, and you're at the right age and everything. So, yeah, sure, come on, we're going to train you to be an astronaut. And so there you are, you're going over all the protocols and what the rules are and what you have to do, and you got to learn so much, And so they train you what's it like to be in outer space, so you don't flip out, because you can lose your marbles up there real easy. So they make sure that they really train you so you stay with yourself. You don't get lost out there, but they allow you to have a little bit of free time. You can take your personal camera with you too, and they do. They can take their personal camera, and you can look out the porthole windows. And they give you a little time so you can look out, and it says, "Wow, Jesus Christ," hey, that's my country, that's where I'm from, and and so then you have to go back to work and everything, and you say, "God, geez, well, and then you finish work, and then you go back and look out the porthole windows, and and you watch these, I think it's something like 14 sunsets a given day that they get to witness and watch as they're circulating. 14, I think it is. My God, that's, it changes the whole perspective of the day, And then all of a sudden, you just don't see your little country. You see this one half of the planet, and it's, and it's got this, water, it's blue and kind of green, and then this land with all sorts of stuff, and there's white stuff up there, the North Pole and the South Pole and all that stuff, and and all of a sudden your brain is going, I better go back to work. So they'll go back to work and everything, but they're trained. Hey, be careful. How you see the planet's going to change, and NASA's smart. They got smart with this, so they don't flip out there. So you can't look out the porthole windows all that much. You will flip. There's too much space. Our brains are not used to all that space, and it literally dissolves our interpretation of Berlin, New York, Kazakhstan, Moscow. It just completely wipes it away, and they know that. So they got to keep you busy. So you better go back to work and stay busy and get back into my personality, into who I really am, inside. And I'm a NASA right here. And then you go back to the porthole window, you look at this world that's really small, and here's this black space. And by the time these astronauts are up there long enough, they have picked up enough data with their eyes. And this data has been put together very differently because the references, they had no references on the planet, none. They just read about it and they talked about it. But now they have real, live references for the first time in their existence. Real, live references for the first time of their existence. The references that they had that they grew up with. Oh, where are you from? Berlin. Really, Berlin, huh? Real Berlin, huh? Was it Berlin 10,000 years ago? Why Berlin? Oh, it's always been Berlin. Where are you from? Germany. Oh, Germany. Let me see. Was it always Germany? No, it wasn't. No, it was a different name, just 2,000 years ago, and 4,000 years ago it was a very different name. There was no Berlin back then, and so, oh my God. So all these lines that we had drawn on the maps and said this is Germany and this is Italy and this and those are illusions. They're just agreements between people. That's it. Just agreements. There's no reality in it. They're just agreements. They're agreements. It's not reality. They are agreements. Agreements. That's it. The astronaut now is seeing reality. All the names of all the countries, they start to dissolve because they're nothing but agreements. The reality is it is a planet lost in outer space. That's the reality. It's a very big, harsh reality. When you read the commentaries from these astronauts, Russian, from Australia, America, Germany, Italy, from France, from all of them, all of a sudden they're poets. They're in love. They're in love with something really, really real. They know, wow. It is no longer the earth as they know it anymore. Now when they really speak of the earth, they're looking through the eyes of angels. They're looking through the eyes of eternity inside. A reality that really set them off in here. And now how they speak, not just of their country folk, of their country, they speak now of the planet. Because it's a reality, it's a planet, it's round. And that brings them down to a good, common, rational sense of what real rational sense is. A question that cannot easily be answered. What in the world am I to witness this? Because it's an event. What in the world am I to witness this little ball that's circulating, and it just stays there. It just hovers there. So what am I with this patch, NASA, and to look at this event? And this is what we all have to ask of ourselves. What am I? That brings us back down to the species, not a 21st century, highly intellectual person. This brings us down to a species, a timelessness that resides in us. And that changes the whole concept of time itself, to actually witness that. But most of us can't go up there now in this lifetime. There's just, we can't. But you can do it yourself. We have a lot of pictures, real pictures. They're not painted. Real pictures. But that lies inside you, the astronaut. Because you are all astronauts. Where do you think you came from before you were conceived? And you will be astronauts again after you pass away. So, once you think about this, you write a letter to NASA that you want to be an astronaut. You're going to get rejected. Don't take it to heart. But you write that letter to yourself. You are the NASA inside, where you can actually literally see this inside from within you. And that is where that very, very unique, spiritual, beautiful lens microscope comes in. Unique, very clever, beautiful light. That microscope. That's how we've been put together. That is a reality. Your identification as a German, especially West German, can be wiped away. Look what happened with the East Germans. Their identity was wiped away. 40 years it took. And it wiped it away. It wiped the German face off them. It wiped the ambition, the sharpness. It wiped it away. Communism did that. Just 40 years. And look how many centuries it took for you to be German as you think and as you are. Really, just, I would say maybe 30 years it took, maybe 20 to wipe it away. So who are you, really? Who are you, really? Not German, actually. That's just an agreement. Astronauts. Astronauts. I am trying to um, uh, get some help here, please, to make these spectacles, you know, or things we put in the eyes, these little lenses, and take you on top of a mountain. And on top of these mountains, put on these spectacles and say, hey, look at this. You want to see something beautiful? And you watch all these little shooting stars come down, all to be conceived. And you watch all these little shooting stars rising up, leaving a lifetime behind. Snow rising and snow falling. Beautiful snow rising and falling. Oh my. Winter never stops. So beautiful it is. So beautiful we are. For 99.99 euros, you can have a pair. Mhm. Now let's take a break. You can hear me breathe, huh? Yeah. Uh, Imagine having a camera on you all day long. Yeah. And guess what? You do. All day, all night long. You do. When I was in my 30s and I realized it and saw it, God, I hated it. Man, was I angry. I was so angry when I realized that I am a glass house, that we are a glass house. Now, God, was I disturbed. It took me a year to come to terms with it. That was tough. Yeah, that was really tough. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Let's take a break, huh? I don't want to move. I'm fine. Yeah. You know the ashes at the end of the fire dance, and it is the ashes of Hans York that just blown me away. It's this man that I really did not know too well because he came and went with his family. And his ashes it touches me so much. And I watched this man with his family come to almost every seminar in those years that he did it, and watch how he did it. And I watched him quietly, so quietly. And I knew something is up. He's not just doing it for his family or his little daughter. I could see there's something going on inside. And he passed away with a heart attack, very, very young. This man, this snowflake, that how he took off was so unusual. Because usually, practically, all just rise up like smoke. This guy took off like a shooting star. Just like a shooting star. He just... He went so fast. The speed that he just took off with was just so touching. And quietly, when I have his ash in the palm of my hand, I say, you know, I'm dancing on your ashes now. And God, I hope I cross your path one day and that you can dance on mine, you know. Centuries, they you know, they come and go like our days so quickly. There's it's not a law, and it's not a rule, but I don't know. It's to me it's a common sense that my external environment comes first. I come second, always. I was raised, I don't know about you, but I was raised that I come first and you come second. And I was so confused growing up. And when I came across an early period of my life where I was getting confused, getting more and more lost and more confused in my society, in my life, and it was because I followed my friends, my mother, my father, my brothers, my sisters, and the rules that I come first. And I realized, you know, there's really something wrong with that. Really something wrong with that. And I look to see, you know, it's so simple. You know, I can't live without air, without oxygen. I tried. I would stick my head, I would go to these pools up in the mountains, and I'd go to swimming pools, and every now and then I hit the ocean, and I stick my head underwater, try and outdo it, try and beat it. And I can't. And I realize that this atmosphere, this air, which I never paid any attention to, I just use it to live, use it to eat, use it to sleep. I just use it. I didn't care about it at all. I didn't care if I was spitting or, had bad breath or had good breath. And I didn't even care. I didn't care. I just simply didn't care. I didn't care for the ground. I didn't care for the trees. I just used it. I'll cut you down and burn you in my fireplace. I'll rip you weeds out. Because I don't like you. I don't want you. I will stamp on the ground simply because I want to. I will get my gun and shoot the birds and shoot the animals simply because I want to, or I'm a little angry. And I realize, no wonder I'm disturbed. And then I began to sense I began to reverse it. Because I realized I'm just heading downhill. I'm just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And makes your mind crazy. And I realized I had a very typical mind like everybody else. We're crazy. We're crazy. So consciously started to reverse this phenomenon that my environment outside of me comes first. This comes second. Because it was giving me my life. I can't live without it. And then when you look at it and you deduct it more and more, this simple statement, you begin to realize the most important people on the planet are the farmers. The most important people are the farmers. Look how crazy we have what we do with ourselves with movie stars and rock and roll stars and we praise them and give them all sorts of stuff. It's the farmers that keeps us alive, not the movie stars. Have you thought about that? We don't question it, it's because of the numbers. Human beings don't question this because of the numbers. And it's simple numbers. It comes down to math, actually. When 10 people think that's sane, that one person, it's hard for that one person to resist it. And they go with it. And when you grow up and you see adults saying that is sane, it's too easy for the little kids to just naturally go with the flow because everybody else says so. So it's got to be because they're adults. They're in grown-up bodies. They drive cars. Man, they put petrol in cars. They can turn on flash signals and they can turn on radios and they can speak, and they can put on ties and they have nice hair. And it's insane. Literally insane. And the The funny thing about this statement about the farmers, our body knows it, and our mind does know it. Hidden by layers and layers and layers of social behavior that's not so good and that is good, both. Your flag, your country cannot die for you. You have to do that on your own. That's why I literally teach yourself. Huh? Send that letter. Send that letter to yourself. And the reason most people, they can't wake up in their dreams because it's laden down with tiredness, so much tiredness, and no clarity of the reality of this outside environment, or really what it is. Because it's not really Berlin. I don't see Berlin. I see buildings. But I see a planet. But when we, with our psychological mind, and we have the ability with our psychological mind, just see Berlin. You don't see the shadows of the birds flying above, and these shadows crossing the land. You don't hear the thumping of the earth, for it has a drummer inside that thumps, and it's loud. And your neighbors, not just two-legged creatures, your neighbors, the lizards and the birds, they know when you have fear of yourself. They know when you touch them with your heart. They know. Because they're under survival. We're not. Yeah. God, I wish you could see with my eyes. One day, just one day. You know what prevents you? Your investments in your memories. Your investments in your memories. Your investments in your psychology, in your hurt. Your investments in your complacencies. Your investments of the days that have accumulated, so many days. That says to you, actually, that is who you are, but it's not. You're an astronaut. A nameless astronaut, actually. I would say the name is basically your face. What a beautiful name that is, your face. It is your walk. Your name, the words that you use. Your name, it is how you touch. Literally touch yourself. Not just doorknobs and wheels of cars. Your name is how your hair sits on the top of your head too. Your name is how you sleep. You know, one of the of setting up the altar, and I cut my my trousers here with the knife. You know, cutting the roses. And I had Heidi and Sabina. This was in Switzerland on this tour, and I asked them to sew it, and I like the scar. And they think I should wear, you know, get a new pair, you know. But I like it, you know. It's, you know, because, you know, I'm not here to be perfect. You know, I cannot be perfect. There's no fun in being perfect. It's boring. I like that, and how they did it. You know. And I look at it a lot, you know. I think it's so great because I see Sabina and Heidi there. Look at that little tiny Sabina and Heidi right there. They're so cute. Okay, I think weird. Okay, I know. Yeah. Okay, break now? Yeah.